What's cracking, yo? Welcome back to Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today. Here we are again. I didn't even want to do this video because I feel like I've gotten baited, and I probably have. We are on the cusp in about 25 minutes now. We are on the cusp of watching the Boston Celtics versus the Miami Heat, or rather the Miami Heat at Boston Celtics, for a Game 7 where the series was once 3-0 in favor of Miami Heat. We are on the cusp of possibly one of the most anticipated Game 7s that I can remember, and possibly be on the cusp of seeing history of the first team in the NBA winning a series after being down 0-3.
That number is used in some locations for emergencies. Would you like to call 03 or emergency services?
No. The hell? I thought Siri was disabled. What the? Anyway, we are on the cusp of seeing this. And once again, LeBron James, as he does so often, has to be the number one topic trending, has to be the topic of discussion. He goes on Instagram. Now, I didn't even know about this, so shout out to subscriber Alex Bro, who let me know in a comment, oh, by the way, did you see what LeBron put on Instagram? He goes on Instagram and on his story posts a picture of him. And it says, I'm supposed to be number one on everybody's list. We'll see what happens when I no longer exist. LeBron, why? 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 Now, if you would have did this, I'll be honest, if you would have did this after this series and we had some time between the finals and the ending of this series, and you posted this, I still would have made a video about what you said. But even more so now, I feel like this is in poor taste, my friend. I do. And Bronsexuals, avid LeBron James fans, don't come on here, please, don't come on here talking about, oh, you guys only talk about LeBron this way. Oh, no other superstars get treated like how you guys treat LeBron. Oh, you would swear this guy murdered somebody, how you guys talk about him. Oh, this, oh, things like that. I don't want to hear that. Cut the noise out. Please. Cut the noise out. You ain't seen my content enough. You haven't. Especially when it comes to LeBron James. I can't tell you how many times I've been on this channel supporting and defending LeBron James and adding context to his abilities and to his legacy, whereas many people criticize him for. And I've been on record saying that's cap. Let me add some context to this. Defending LeBron James. And most of the LeBron James videos I have done, I would probably say, when it comes to criticizing LeBron James, videos in that category, I would say 80% of them isn't me criticizing LeBron James, coming for his throat directly. It's me addressing analysts, mainstream reporters, the mass media. It's me coming at them for making up lies and trying to revise history about LeBron James. It had nothing to do with LeBron James said, but it's me addressing lies and revisionist history that other people are saying that involves LeBron James. I don't got a problem with people's opinions. It's just when they lie and try to make stuff up, then I got to call you out for it. And then maybe 20% actually have to do with me having a problem with something LeBron James said or did. So I don't want to hear that. It's a big difference. Just like if I call analysts capping for other players, I call them out for it too. In fact, Kobe Bryant's my favorite player. I probably have criticized Kobe's game on my own channel more than I have LeBron. Even put out a specific video calling him out on his worst game ever and saying how atrocious it was. I'm actually going to put out another Kobe video soon, calling out Kobe for capping in an interview. God rest his soul. So I don't want to hear that. You could take that somewhere else, bro. You really can. I swear LeBron James is the only person being criticized. So many people hate him. Da, da, da. You know why it may seem like that? Because LeBron James is arguably, and I believe, the most polarizing basketball player in the history of the league. Arguably. At least during my lifetime, there hasn't been a more polarizing NBA player with such a massive fan base and also a following of detractors. So depending on which avenue you're on, it may seem like it because there's so many people involved in what he's saying or doing or criticizing in general, just as there are just as many or more people that worship him. So depending on what avenue you're on, that's all you're going to see. And then a lot of back and forth arguments depending on what platform you're on. He is the most polarizing. He has a crap load of followers. And he has a crap load of haters too that speak out on it. Whether they're right or they're wrong. Same with his supporters, whether they're right or they're wrong. That's why it seems like that. There's a huge population of people involved in LeBron James banter on both sides. Now, let's get back to this Instagram post. Like I said, I already feel like this is in bad taste. Dude's a narcissist. He is. He has to be the center of attention. Trying to take away the attention from what people are talking about, especially when it comes to topics that involve the National Basketball Association and everything involved with that. Poor taste, man. You know what you're doing, LeBron. You've been doing this for a very long time. A very long time. And then addressing the content of the Instagram post directly. I have never, ever, we already seen him. He's already been on record multiple times, doubling down on it and acknowledging what he said and doubling down on it, saying that he believes he's the greatest player in the NBA. And that rubs a lot of people the wrong way because we've never seen somebody especially somebody that's actually in that conversation and debate, really speak out on it. And, it rubs a lot of people the wrong way because it's disrespectful to a lot of other players, especially ones that have really came before you and paved the way and were great in their own merit and especially great in their own era, and ones that have the skill and talent levels to transcend eras. Most do. We're talking about players that didn't care what their stats were. Players were just playing their game how they wanted to. And a time where analytics and stats weren't talked about like they are now, in a time where all they wanted to do was win and play as hard as they can and let the chips lie where they may. But now LeBron James and other players understand that we're in this era, this atmosphere now where everybody looks at you, looks at your numbers. What does your numbers say? Analytics. And now they're out there fishing for stats, understanding that this is how people are going to evaluate players nowadays, even against players of the past. But if players of the past knew that at some point people were going to criticize your numbers so heavily, maybe some of them would have been like, well, let me go ahead and really get my numbers up like these players are trying to do now. But they didn't. And that speaks volumes as to how great they were, because their numbers were phenomenal. And they didn't give a damn about stats or their numbers. They didn't. Some of them put up amazing stats, but that is more of a product of just how they played naturally. It wasn't them gunning for statistics so much. And really, the only guy that you can make an argument that did that to some degree that I can think of that was that great was Wilt Chamberlain, who he's been on record saying as much. I'm going to get my numbers. Just in case we lose, you can't really pin it all on me. He's been on record saying that, not verbatim. But anyway, I remember when LeBron James even questioned Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. Come on. I've never seen a guy so caught up, an active player especially, and a player that is involved in his greatest of all time debate. I've never seen anybody so wrapped up in what people think about him and where he is placed or thought of in this greatest of all time debate. This really bothers him, apparently. It really bothers him. And it wouldn't bother him if he didn't think that he wasn't losing this GOAT debate, because he wouldn't feel the need to say it. He wouldn't. Why do you feel the need to put this out? Man, there's enough people in this world that think you're the best player of all time, buddy, for you to be acting like this. You have enough support, buddy. Trust me, you do. You really, really do. The fact that most of the mainstream media and most of the public think it's only a debate between you and Michael Jordan and don't even think about anybody else. And you're still out here complaining about it. Even for the people that might have you number 2 or number 5 or even in your top 10, even in their top 10. That should be a badge of honor, buddy. You should be honored among all the greats that have played the game just like you. Just to be in that top 10 is an honor. It speaks volume to your game and your legacy and your career. But that's not good enough. Nothing's acceptable if you're not number 1. Blows my mind. No, LeBron, you are not supposed to be number 1 on everybody's list. In fact, there's not a single player in the history of this league that is supposed to be number 1 on everybody's list. That is no mandate. Be number 1 on everybody's list for any player. It's funny because just yesterday I watched several Michael Jordan interviews on my own where Michael Jordan, who the majority of the people think is the greatest player of all time based on what seems to be, information and data released to the public, polls, things of that nature, where Michael Jordan has been on record several times saying that he's not really caught up in this GOAT debate because he believes there are a lot of players that were the GOAT or GOAT prospects in their own era, and it's extremely difficult and nuanced to compare eras. So he don't even really get into it. And he said, I wouldn't say this player is better than that player. I wouldn't say I'm better than that player is better than me, because it's just too nuanced. And I respect each player for what they were in their era. And I ain't got no problem with people having a take like that. I don't. There's a lot of accuracy in that. I enjoy the GOAT debate sometimes because I like hearing people's perspective on how they rank players and how they view them and stack the lineups. So I enjoy both sides of it. Whether you think it is nuanced, but whether you think it's a good topic of conversation or not so good topic of conversation. But just how humbling and non-narcissistic Michael Jordan is compared to LeBron James. Two different worlds, two completely different perspectives. But LeBron James is really, while he's still playing at that, really pushing this narrative to want to be adored, loved, and unequivocally being number one on everybody's list. I've never seen anything like it. I haven't seen anything like this. I remember this guy being on record saying, this was years ago, I don't remember what was said, but there's a topic brought up and LeBron James' name got brought into it. And he goes on some social media platform, is like, why is my name always getting brought up? More or less, keep my name out of your mouth. This ain't got nothing to do with me. Something along those lines, not verbatim. But LeBron James, stop it. You know you like it when your name is coming out of everybody's mouth. You love it when you are the center of attention, whether your name should have been brought up in a topic of conversation or not. You love it. You adore it. I ain't got no problem with players being arrogant. I think a lot of great players probably should have some arrogance to them in some degree, especially when you're on the floor, when you're on the basketball floor. Like that type of energy, that type of masculinity, that type of confidence can take you very far in basketball games in your career. I ain't got no problem with that. But it's completely different when you're off the court and saying garbage like this. You've went past arrogance and you've went straight into complete narcissism for me. You really have. You really, really have. You're not supposed to be number one on everybody's list. You're not supposed to be the GOAT. There's enough arguing points where people would eliminate you from the GOAT conversation, not because they're comparing you to another player, but just about certain things that has happened in your career. People feel like that's enough to eliminate from you from the GOAT debate. I'm not saying that's my opinion. I'm saying what I've heard, read, and seen on TV, people having these discussions, let alone comparing you to other player. And like I said, I really feel I didn't even want to do this video because I mean, like, I'm feeding into his agenda. Here I am talking about his name. Game 7 about to happen, and I'm about to bite the bait, boy, like a hungry bass fish and a worm on a hook. I'm about to gobble that bait down. But it's just like I can't let it go. I got to talk about it. I got to, because it's ridiculous. This type of stuff is ridiculous. This dude is so caught up in his numbers and what people feel about his legacy. I don't know if he's how butthurt he is whenever he's not considered number one out of somebody's mouth. But this guy is so wrapped up in what people think about him and where he feel like the LeBron James number one mandate should be enforced in everybody's home. Honestly, if he's going to be putting out stuff like this constantly, and especially with poor timing, honestly, I think he should I would rather him just deactivate his social media and just disappear until the start of until the start of next season. Seriously. Just go away. Go on vacation with your family. Hell, bro, I was just watching your daughter's YouTube channel. Y'all were making cake or brownies together. I don't even know why. I was like, what is this? What is daughter's name? Yuri? Something like that? Forgive me if I mess his daughter's name up. But I was like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm too bored. Let me watch. Oh, LeBron James. And this is her YouTube channel. LeBron James is helping his daughter bake. And it was, I don't even know why, but I was invested in it. Take your beautiful family. Go on vacation, man. Clock out of social media. Get off it, man. Just get off it. Get off it. There's a point in time this season, for different reasons, I said I'm not doing any more Anthony Davis content because I'm getting tired of it. It's the same thing. It's a repeating record. It's a pull string doll with Anthony Davis. I'm getting the same thing every time. Like I can't do this no more. No more Anthony Davis topics for at least the rest of the season. I'm done, and I didn't do anymore. I might be getting to that point with LeBron James. It's just, ugh. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And honestly, I would do more LeBron James pro topics, more. But every time I feel like I'm about to do one, something comes up with somebody capping about Bron or Bron capping himself. And then I do that because, like I said, I gotta call it out. Yeah, LeBron James, you really feel some type of way about all this. This is really means a lot to you. It really does. You try so hard. You want to be the greatest of all time so hard. And in your mind and in your heart and from what you see in your eyes, how the overall general public is receiving you isn't okay with you. Does not satisfy your needs. Does not quench your thirst for the love and adoration that you seek. And I think it's quite funny because here's a guy that's trying so hard to be the unanimous, undisputed greatest player of all time in everybody's mind. After seeing what the players that he's compared to have done before him and can adapt everything he does to combat with them in his eyes. And he's still not considered the overwhelming greatest of all time. Everything he's doing to push his agenda, well, just say, for comparison, Michael Jordan doesn't do that at all. Doesn't give a damn, doesn't care. Isn't pushing his own GOAT debate for him, or pushing his own agenda for himself in the GOAT debate. And you are. And he came before you. And he didn't care about his statistics. He just played his game. The stats lie where they may. And you still aren't the overwhelming GOAT in most people's eyes. Sir, if you can't see why that's so funny, you are blind. Everything in your power to push this agenda, and it's still not working. Still not working. That's all I got to say about it. I'm about to get into Game 7 here and enjoy that. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified. Appreciate you guys for stopping in. This wasn't supposed to be that long, but here we are. Take care, be blessed. Catch you on the next one. We out, baby.